Right now on Upfront.
Supreme battle.
This is a whole new world.
Uphold our laws and our Constitution.
The 7-week sprint. The race for Wisconsin Supreme Court. Control of the court at stake.
It's the Super Bowl of politics in 2025 in Wisconsin.
The major cases, the nationwide attention, abortion, unions, voter ID.
Would you ever recuse yourself?
Did you commit to them that you will do that as a justice?
The candidates are now here. Waukesha County Judge, former Republican Attorney General Brad Schimel, the Liberal challenger Dane County Judge Susan Crawford. A special edition of Upfront, the battle for state Supreme Court. The interviews start now.
This is Upfront with Jaron Jordan and political director Matt Smith.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. 51 days to go. The high-profile race for Wisconsin Supreme Court, the first major political test during the new Trump administration. The candidate face-off April 1st. The conservative Waukesha County Judge and former Republican Attorney General Brad Schimel and the Liberal Dane County Judge Susan Crawford.
The winner will replace retiring Liberal Justice Ann Walsh Bradley. And again, control of the state's high court is at stake with a lot on the line. We sat down with both candidates this past week. You're going to hear from both of them. We begin with Brad Schimel.
Thanks so much for your time. Appreciate it. A very important Supreme Court race here in Wisconsin. The last time we saw a Supreme Court race here 2 years ago, the conservative candidate, Daniel Kelly, lost to Janet Protasewicz by 11 points. Are you doing anything differently? How are you campaigning differently than Daniel Kelly 2 years ago?
This has been an entirely different kind of campaign. Right from the start, I got in this race 16 months before Election Day because I recognized a couple things. First off, you can't count on running television ads to win the race. You've got to go meet voters where they are and listen to what concerns them. It makes you a better candidate. It'll make you a better public servant too. I also recognized that I needed to try to avoid a primary. We all saw that primary in 2023 was so divisive, so expensive. And the winner comes out limping to Election Day with a mere 6 weeks to go. It's hard to put it back together.
We also saw in that last race just how political this certain race has become. Are you better embracing how political this Supreme Court race has become?
You have to face the reality. To a large degree, the conservative candidate in 23 was running a race from 30 years ago. It is different now. You still can't break the rules. And part of the reason I got in this race was because in 2023, I watched a candidate promising how they were going to rule on cases. That's breaking the rules.
There's a ton of big issues before the court and
Yes.
likely more to come. Justice Hagedorn recently announced he's going to recuse himself from the case involving Act 10. Did he make the right decision on that?
Only he can know that. There are certain circumstances where a judicial official must recuse. If you have a personal stake or your immediate family has a personal stake in this, like you stand to gain or lose money based on the outcome, you must recuse. Otherwise, it becomes a personal judgment call. Justice Hagedorn made that assessment and concluded that based on the history he has, he couldn't in this case. So I would say then, yes, it is the right decision. If you make that searching of your conscience and that's where you land, then yes, you should get out of the case.
Would you ever recuse yourself from cases involving Act 10?
Well, I didn't have any involvement in Act 10. By the time I was elected Attorney General, the cases were all done in the Supreme Court and the federal courts. If there was anything lingering, I didn't have any direct involvement, and I certainly, Justice Hagedorn was the governor's chief legal counsel when that law was being drafted and created. He had a very direct role that I didn't have.
What do you think about Justice Hagedorn broadly?
He's a good, decent man. When I was Attorney General, he was still, for part of that time, the governor's chief legal counsel. So we worked together regularly on the issues affecting our state. And I respect his willingness. He's doing what he thinks is right. I don't always agree with his decisions, but he's doing what he believes is the right thing to do.
I'm sure you hear
that.
I'm sure you hear that on the campaign trail. Some Republicans not too happy with
Yeah,
how he's done.
Absolutely, sure.
Would you back any efforts to impose recusal rules for the court?
I'd want to see what they are. It really does come down to this question about where do you stand.
Is there a metric that you would look at to see whether there's a need for that?
Well, you asked would I support putting in place some rules, and I'd want to know what those were before I decide whether I'd support that or not.
Is there a case or issue that you know right now that you would recuse yourself from?
I don't offhand. I will always do that same searching of my conscience, and can I set a political or personal view aside? So I don't have anything that I'm looking forward saying, oh boy, I'm out on this because I couldn't possibly be objective. I don't know. If that day comes, I'll do the right thing and step back.
I want to quickly give you a chance to respond to the Wisconsin Democracy Campaign complaint that they filed against you this past week. The Journal-Sentinel published some comments. It sounds like you were talking to supporters, making some jokes about how you're asking for support. You said, begging people, please consider getting involved or supporting my race. The Wisconsin Democracy Campaign says, well, you're breaking the judicial code by asking for money. Did you break the judicial code?
No, I wasn't making any solicitation that day, and I don't. I don't ask people for money. I'm not supposed to do that, and I don't. What I was doing was I was drawing the contrast between how money comes in. Because the Liberal candidate, they get in the race and there's a national fundraising machine that they flip the switch on and money comes pouring in. So I was drawing that comparison for people to understand how different the work is for us. But I wasn't asking anybody to make the donations.
This election comes within the first 100 days of the Trump administration. You were out in Washington, D.C. for some inaugural events in January. Elon Musk has thrown his support behind you as well. How big of a factor do you think that President Trump and the Trump administration will play in this race?
You know, I have no idea. I woke up one day, I think it was a Thursday, and all sorts of people had sent me texts saying, hey, look what Elon Musk said about you. I didn't know that was coming. I've never met or talked to him. I'm welcoming anybody that can help me get the word out about this race, help me raise support. I don't know if, I suspect President Trump is aware of this race. It's been identified by many as the most important race in America in 2025, and they're probably right.
Do you like a Trump endorsement?
Who wouldn't want the endorsement of the sitting president who is enjoying high popularity right now? And whether you like what he's doing or not, I think anybody has to acknowledge that he's accomplished an awful lot since November 5th. Even before he was officially sworn in, he was doing an awful lot of things that have moved the ball on promises he made. I appreciate that about him, that when he makes campaign promises, he considers those something that he's supposed to carry out. So I do appreciate that about him.
Abortion, obviously another case before the court. Are you seeking, or would you like the endorsement of pro-life Wisconsin?
I'm not seeking the endorsement.
Yeah.
I haven't filled out any questionnaires for them. I'm looking for support of Wisconsin voters. That's why I've campaigned in every single one of our 72 counties, at least once in every county, and I'm continuing to just run laps, going to the voters directly with my message about restoring objectivity and integrity and humility to our court.
What do you see as the most pressing or most critical issues that could come before the Supreme Court in this next term?
Well, there are big cases that a lot of regular voters don't really appreciate how significant there are. There are cases that are going to be addressing the balance of power between the legislature and the executive branch. Those are a big deal. We know that one of the abortion cases dealing with the 1849 law has been argued already. I expect that decision will be done long before I get to the bench on August 1st. The other case, there's another abortion case still in the pipeline. That one, they haven't had arguments on it yet, so that might still be lingering. I don't know. Those cases are all going to be out there.
And you would stay on the bench in that abortion case, the Planned Parenthood case?
Not
recuse yourself is what, yeah.
Yeah, there's no, the United States Supreme Court put this decision, recognized that this decision belongs in the hands of the voters. And I respect the will of the voters. I have my personal values that come from our history. My wife and I are blessed to have adopted 2 babies. They're now in their 20s. 2 then 18-year-old young women made tremendous sacrifices to carry their babies to term and make the decision to give us the chance to have the family we can't have biologically. Because of that experience, I treasure life even when it's not planned. But I respect that the law puts this in the hands of the voters, and I will respect their will.
Do your values dictate how you will rule?
No, and this kind of goes back to the discussion about recusal. If my values are dictating how I'm going to rule, then that's a problem. Now, if you're talking about values like respect for other people, I mean, these are things I consider values. My parents taught me respect other people, leave things better than you found them. I respect the limits on your power as a judge. respect the separation of powers, respect the Constitution, the law. Those are all values that absolutely will affect my decision making. But personal opinions, no, they don't have any role.
Supreme Court candidate Brad Schimel.
Up next, his challenger, Susan Crawford.